So you're hearing about this market shift and you're not sure what to think about it. Hey, what's up, friend? It's Courtney here with the Atkinson team serving beautiful Southern Alberta. That's Calgary, Lethbridge, and Medicine Hat. And I want to give you some insights, dependable information that we've collected and that we're communicating to all our clients, and now you, that we've collected from the top 3 banks in Canada. That's going to be TD, Scotiabank, and RBC, and also the Canadian Real Estate Association. Now, it's their job as far as the real estate market is concerned to be able to look at past experiences and predict what's happening in the future. And they're all in agreement about what's coming up over the next 5 or so years. And it's a good news story that I'm going to share with you here. There's 3 primary factors that I need you to understand in order to get your head around what's going to happen here over the next 5 years. The first thing is with respect to volume, okay? Now, volume is the number of homes sold year over year, okay? So let's say there were 10,000 homes sold last year. Maybe there's 11,000 sold this year, right? That's a 10% improvement in volume. What we're anticipating based on all of this research and all the big brains at these 4 research outfits is that over the next 2 years, while the market shifts Canada-wide, there's going to be about a 36% decrease in overall volume. Now, that'll probably happen gradually. It's important that you Albertans know that that's the case for the entire country. And as far as the inhabitants go, Alberta is actually a fairly small cross-section of that. That's heavily weighted towards Ontario, right, and British Columbia. The second thing that we need to be aware of is the average house price across Canada, right? So now what we're going to expect over the next 2 years is there's going to be 4% depreciation across Canada, and then in that second year, a 4% appreciation. So by year 3, it'll be back to where it is today. That's a really good news story, but keeping in mind, that's the story of the entire country. And I'm going to circle back on what that means to you specifically here in Alberta. The third thing is interest rates, okay? Now, you all know that interest rates are high. What you may not know is that the bond rate right now is out of whack with interest rates, and it's going to come back into check in the early part of next year, no later than Q2 on 2023. That's telling us that interest rates are coming down. They've already started to come down across the United States. That's going to be starting to happen in Canada very, very soon. And so we've got a strategy that we want to share with you that a lot of people are using successfully to make their moves now. The first thing I want to highlight is this. That's global information for Canada. We live in the province of Alberta. So what I want you to do, just for fun, is go to uhaul.com. Now, there's this really cool report that U-Haul does that will tell you where all of the one-way U-Hauls dead end. That's telling us where most people from Canada are moving to in Canada. What province do you think most people are moving to in Canada right now and for the foreseeable future? And this has been happening, by the way, for the past couple of years. If you guessed Alberta, you'd be right. And here's why. We have some of the lowest taxes in the country. We have super affordable house prices compared to places in Ontario and places in BC. Think, there's places in Ontario that have had their prices double in the last 2 years, okay? They can still come to Alberta, have the same job because they're now working virtually, have a 5-minute commute instead of an hour commute, make that same income that they were making in Ontario, but pay Alberta taxes, right? And now pocket $500,000, buy a $500,000 house with $1 million that they sold their house for, because that's the average in a lot of places between Ontario and BC. So why this matters to you? The interesting thing right now still is that we're still in a seller's market. Technically, a seller's market has 6 months or less inventory on market right now. Calgary, Lethbridge, Medicine Hat between 2 and 3 months. So still very much deep into seller's market territory. Foundationally, what that means is that there's not enough inventory on the market for the current number of buyers out there actively looking. And that's going to stay the same throughout this duration of this reset that we're going through right now, this shift that the market's talking about. So while Canada as a global market is looking at about a 36% lower number of sales happening, that's not going to be the case for Alberta. We've got strong immigration here into the province from all across Canada, the strongest by a long shot, okay? We've got the lowest taxes. We've got all of these things working towards us and interest rates going back into check. So here's what we're suggesting that everybody do right now. Here's the truth. if you're asking your realtor for information about buying or selling, chances are there's something on your mind that has you motivated to do that. There's a reason. There's an emotion tied to that. Maybe the kids have left home, or maybe you're starting out buying your first house, but there's always some sort of emotional reason to that. And a lot of times what happens for people is their logic kind of gets in the way. They're thinking, it's not a good time to buy, Courtney. Prices are going down. I want to wait for the market to settle out. And when that happens, then I'll go ahead and make my move. We hear that all the time. And that's perfectly logical. It's super common. It's one of the reasons why I want to talk to you today about this. But here's the interesting thing. Most people are going to live in their house for 7 years. Some folks we speak to, maybe it's going to be 3 or 4, sometimes even longer. But the average is about 7 years. And here's what we say to people. We know that the curve of depreciation is going to be very minor Canada-wide. It's probable and even possible that we won't see any depreciation whatsoever in Alberta at all, and maybe just a little bit of dip in transaction volume. So what's that mean to you? It means we're not going to see a massive reset like they are in places like Toronto, where prices are already down. And let's be honest, they needed to come down. Same in Vancouver, right? Those are huge markets, lots of real estate transacting, and they skew those statistics that I shared with you, right? But when you look locally at all the immigration, people coming to Alberta, the low taxes that we have here, that's a massive draw for people to want to come here. And we've already got not enough supply. We've got 3 months of supply, kind of on average for Southern Alberta. So think about what that can mean then to our pricing and the volumes that we're going to see here in our province with our low unemployment, with all the great things happening economically here. And so it's a good news story for our particular province. Now listen, my colleagues in Ontario, yeah, they're having a hard time. My colleagues in British Columbia, yeah, they're having a harder time. But the good news here in Alberta, where you are, is that we're likely going to see a very balanced market over the next couple years. And so knowing that you're probably going to live in your next house for 7 years, would you rather enjoy the next 3 years there and be 4% ahead by the end of that third year? Or would you rather wait for the market to do its thing and then be 4% ahead in your current house, continually unhappy with it, holding off for things to change dramatically when we know that they're not? There's no evidence at all to suggest that things are going to be dramatically different in Alberta than they are anywhere else. So let's say, for example, that we do see that 4% national depreciation here in the province of Alberta. Well, it's only for 1 year, and then there's another year of recovery, so right back to zero again. And then that third year now we're ahead 4%. So the question to you, if you're thinking about selling and then buying, would you rather be in the house that you love and be ahead 4% in that 3 years, or would you rather be where you are today, knowing that it's very likely that you're actually going to be dramatically further ahead because of how strong economically our province is right now, because of what's likely to happen in Alberta because of that immigration. So just something for you to think about if you've got concerns, or maybe you're hearing some talk around the family table, or maybe at the office about what your friends are saying. Maybe you're hearing it online and you're thinking, man, that must be true. Now you've got great information that you can share with them based on statistics that you can readily find by going out there and searching for that information from RBC, from TD, and from Scotiabank and the Canadian Real Estate Association. It's all readily available. It applies to Canada, and then you just got to unpack a little bit more detail about what's happening here in Alberta, and it's a very good news story. I, for one, am personally very excited about these next 3 years, and I can't wait to chat with you about it more. If you have questions, just let us know. We're more than happy to chat, okay? We can help you unpack any details related to your personal situation and help you make a plan, whatever that looks like. Maybe it's staying put, maybe it's making a move. We'll be happy to be part of it, okay? Take good care.